Do you ever wonder if homeschool is a good choice for you? Comment below with your questions, concerns, or ask about setting up a time to discuss how to start your homeschool journey.
There. So what are some adjustments that you have made or that you plan to make in the future? Because you mentioned, it sounds like you're kind of an eclectic homeschooler. Like you said, you're doing, I think you said online co-ops, you're
Yep.
doing in person. It sounds like your kids are involved in sports, which is great. Um, you know, are there adjustments? Like you said, they're seeing tutors and things like that. Um, how is that going? And do you plan to do more online, less online, more in person
Yeah,
as we're going
so
forward?
this decision comes from the fact that we started mid-year, and we had to bring together a lot of resources that would facilitate the second semester, if you will. So moving forward, my boys will be going into 8th grade this year. So, they are just before high school now. So that carries a different weight and a different connotation for their learning. And I have decided that we will move them in the direction of something that's a little bit more structured, um, just because they have to get a little bit more used to that, obviously, as they get older. So we will do an online learning platform for the next year, uh, paired with individualized tutoring to help them move through. But the online platform is totally self-paced again, so there's not that same sense of overwhelm with the deadlines in front of them like they would have in a traditional institution. They have the time and space to ask questions and be comfortable with the material before moving on, which is really excellent. And I did a lot of research and asked a lot of questions about different modalities that were accredited, whether online or in book format. And so we just chose the best one that matched our needs and was the most flexible.
Okay, and so this is asynchronous, where they don't have to be on at a certain time. They can kind of just do it at their own pace.
Right, exactly.
Okay, all right, and
Mhm.
that seems to work for them.
Yeah, I expect that it will be a lot better. It's similar to one set of modules that they used for their science curriculum this year, and they really enjoyed it and were engaged with that level of learning. And so the the platform is the same, but it's all one institution, and it will be across various subjects. And they will also be able to, with that institution, have access to teachers they can call for questions, which is really awesome. Um,
Okay.
in case mom doesn't know the answers, just to have extra resources available, but also with the tutoring on the side, just to, again, reinforce foundational level skills for them, particularly in math.
All right. Wow. Oh, so, and they're doing math with the same.
They'll continue to do math both they're going to do it in the new structured curriculum that's on the platform, but also they're going to do it with the same in-person tutor that they've been doing it
Right.
with this semester.
Okay. And they have the tutoring once a week?
It's 4 hours a week.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Is it all in one day or spread
It's
out?
broken up into 2 days a week, so they'd go for 2 hours at a time.
Okay.
Was really, really excellent because, even both my boys, both my own kids, right? I mean, they're the same age, same grade, but their understanding level and their ability to do math was different. And so, having that tutor and meeting each child where they were in their learning process really gave them a new sense of confidence because they didn't feel behind, even from
Right.
one year. And it allowed them to develop the skills that they needed to really understand the material, not just to quickly move through it for the sake of testing.
Right. Yeah. And you had said one of your sons is now farther in math than he would have been if he had stayed at the private school. So
Yeah. And this is
that's
a
great.
child that, they're saying has dyscalculia, which makes math much harder, supposedly. And now he's farther along than he would have been had he stayed in a traditional environment. And it's really a reflection of working with a child in terms of their level of understanding and what their learning methodologies are. And that's why I think it's so fascinating from a cultural standpoint that their tutor is Vietnamese. And his perspective was any kid can learn math. Like, I don't know what this dyscalculia
Mm,
thing is you're talking about, because it's really how are they being taught?
mm.
And um, if the child is not being taught in a manner which they understand, then it's the responsibility of the instructor to make an adjustment so the child can absorb the information. So it's been really remarkable to watch, because it does show you that all things are possible and kids can learn when the material is presented to them in a way that they can understand it.
Yeah, and when they feel comfortable, when they're not having the pressure, the competition,
Absolutely.
yeah, and then to me, then the motivation changes, and that has a lot. The
That
environment itself just has a lot to do with
boosts
it.
confidence for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So tell me a little bit about support in the community with activities and curriculum. I know you said your kids were in sports already, but have there been other activities or, like I said, support in the community? You said you're in Northern Virginia. Has there been a growing homeschooling community that you've seen there?
I think huge. I mean, I think certainly the pandemic played a huge role in that. A lot more families were looking for homeschooling options, co-op options, all kinds of variety of things. And we chose to participate in one co-op where the classes were facilitated online and they were in real time. So you had to get on at a designated time once a week for 2 classes. But they also facilitated lots of activities for the kids if you wanted to participate in them: hiking, crafts, sports, meetups, lots of different variety of options. It was a really nice group um, that wanted to make sure the kids had that facilitation and structure, and that they weren't missing out on other activities aside from academics.
Well, that's great. So have your boys made any new friends through any of
Yeah, I think they've
those?
made a few, but they're so focused on athletics, it's sometimes very challenging. Once you get into sometimes we play six or seven times a week,
Hmm.
so it's very time consuming, and that's their preference. That's what they want to do. They want to be with their teams, and so that's where their focus is. But they do make relationships with others as well. It's just a little bit different than maybe what's traditional.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Sounds like, yeah, they'd already had a strong social community, but that's great. That's great to hear. And then where did you find a lot of these through social media? You found some of these groups and things.
Yeah, so what I'll say is, for me along the journey, the two biggest resources obviously are HSLDA, nationally speaking, and then Heave in Virginia, and what
Okay.
local state would provide. So both are excellent resources. I found a lot of curriculum suggestions and even the tutors through both of those resources. So they were really,
Okay.
really fantastic. And, Facebook groups are always really helpful um, to be able to ask questions or insights. But without those two resources that I mentioned, I mean, I think I would be a lot more lost than I am, because I mean, it's pretty amazing to be able to pick up the phone and call them and ask questions, and to use the resources on their website
Mm.
to really guide and give you a level of understanding about what this journey looks like.
Did you have any issue with the county? Because I know, like in Virginia, we have to go through the county
Mhm.
to with our, sending letters and all that. So have you had? Because that was one thing HSLDA helped me,
Mhm.
with different issues with the county. The county was telling me one thing, and it was like, no, no, that's not how it is. So, did you have any issues like that with your
No.
county?
And I made sure I read all of the literature about what the county requirements were, and I called HSLDA before I submitted anything, just to go through things with them so that I had an understanding that everything that I had prepared was properly documented, and to just double check on what the requirements were. And I've sent things in and had absolutely no problems. And I've gotten the confirmation letters back, and even with the evaluation process, no issues whatsoever.
Okay. Well, that's great. Yeah, HSLD, I found them too late, but I'm glad I'm glad I found them because they helped me straighten out
Yeah.
different things here.
Do you ever wonder if homeschool is a good choice for you? Comment below with your questions, concerns, or ask about setting up a time to discuss how to start your homeschool journey.